So you're saying that the big tariffs on things like smartphones and laptops, iPhones, all those iPhones built in China, that those tariffs are temporarily off, but they're going to be coming right back on in another form in a month or so? Or what are you saying?
Correct. That's right. That's right. Semiconductors and pharmaceuticals will have a tariff model in order to encourage them to reshore, to be built in America. We need our medicines and we need semiconductors and our electronics to be built in America. We can't be beholden and rely upon foreign countries for fundamental things that we need. We can't be relying on China for fundamental things that we need. Our medicines and our semiconductors need to be built in America. Donald Trump is on it. He's calling that out. So you should understand these are included in the semiconductor tariffs that are coming and the pharmaceuticals are coming. Those two areas are coming in the next month or two. So this is not like a permanent sort of exemption. He's just clarifying that these are not available to be negotiated away by countries. These are things that are national security that we need to be made in America.
It would be difficult for a Trump administration official to screw up worse on television today than Howard Lutnik. So here's the quick rundown. Trump imposes reciprocal tariffs, and clowns like Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnik get trotted out to say that this is the art of the deal and things are going exactly according to plan. And of course, our markets and everybody else's markets tank. Then Trump decides to cave to try and stem the bleeding as there's this mass sell-off of American bonds by exempting certain advanced electronics manufacturing products from China. Why? Because we don't have the capacity to produce or manufacture those things, at least not overnight, and it would have completely gutted our economy even further to let them stay in place. So maybe, just maybe, things would stabilize just a little bit. Not so much, because yet again, the White House decides to trot out Howard Lutnik today onto national television, and, well, you'll likely see tomorrow why that wasn't such a great idea. In other words, any momentary reprieve that the market felt on Friday will almost certainly disappear now on Monday. Why? Because every single day we undergo this interminable back and forth, up and down seesaw of imposing tariffs and removing tariffs, and imposing tariffs and removing tariffs. And let's be clear. Even if the market levels out, which there's no indication of happening right now, as we very clearly are in correction territory, even if it levels out though, just the fact that there is so much volatility means that no one is going to invest in the United States, which is purportedly the entire goal of the Trump administration. Let me put a tweet up on the screen from what the last week alone looked like. Since Wednesday, we have had a universal reciprocal tariffs, a removal back down to 10%, 50% Chinese tariffs, 90% Chinese tariffs, 104% Chinese tariffs, 125% Chinese tariffs, 145% Chinese tariffs, electronics exempted, electronics now potentially back on. If you were a CFO of a Fortune 500 company, would you approve any new investment in a country this unstable? And that is exactly the right question. Is this the kind of environment that you would want to invest in, where you don't know if you're going to pay 0% tariffs or 145% tariffs, where the president has full power because the legislative branch is a bunch of spineless sycophants who've contracted every ounce of their autonomy over to the executive branch, where the guy in charge is looking first and foremost for displays of public loyalty and servility? I mean, think about which companies are being exempted from Trump's sweeping punishment edicts. The law firms that have pledged more than $1 billion in pro bono legal work for him, companies like Apple, whose owner donated $1 million to his inaugural fund. Don't you see what this is? This isn't some healthy, democratic, capitalist system. This is crony capitalism. This is you get to operate only if you give me something of political or financial or personal value, and everybody else, screw them. This is a system where if you want anything, you have to petition the king. That is the system that Donald Trump is putting into place. So ask yourself, if you're a small business owner who perhaps doesn't have $1 million to surrender to the deity, is this really the environment you feel would be good for business? In fact, he's not even hiding it. This is what Donald Trump said when asked outright if and how he would consider exempting companies from his tariffs.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sir, would you consider exempting some U.S. companies, maybe some larger companies who have been hit hard in the markets the last few days during this 90 days?
As time goes by, we're going to take a look at it. There are some that have been hard. There are some that, by the nature of the company, get hit a little bit harder, and we'll take a look at that, yeah.
How will you determine the next 90 days?
Just instinctively, more than anything else. I mean, you almost can't take a pencil to paper. It's really more of an instinct, I think, than anything else.
Ah, yes, instinctively. Just the old gut. Definitely, totally not whether they're willing to give him something of value in return. Nope, just that God-given sense of instinct. Got it. You'll also notice that this administration and the Republican Party more broadly has been relentless in attacking the Biden administration, blaming everything on their predecessors. You'll remember that not a single Republican voted for the Inflation Reduction Act, and only a small handful of Republicans voted for the CHIPS and Sciences Act. Both of these pieces of legislation are solely responsible for funding semiconductor chip manufacturing and clean energy manufacturing right here in the United States. And guess what? After those bills were passed, companies like Intel and Samsung and Micron announced major investments here in the US. That is exactly what we were going for with that legislation. And those facilities, by the way, are going to take time to ramp up. We're not expected to see chips until 2027 or later. And so tell me, when we impose tariffs like a sledgehammer on a raft of advanced electronics, how does that help our country and our economy today if we don't have the capacity to produce these things yet? It won't. We can't replicate what China is doing in one fell swoop, and frankly, it's unlikely that we'll ever be able to replicate the kind of manufacturing that we rely on Southeast Asian countries for. So the notion that tariffing every single country is going to suddenly mean that tomorrow our own industries are going to start to boom betrays a fundamental misunderstanding of how all of this works. Strategic tariffs would be fine if we had a cogent, legitimate plan to reshore these jobs or create these jobs. If the last several weeks has shown us anything, it's that the last thing on earth this administration has is a plan. Which, by the way, makes these Republicans trashing the Biden administration all the more ridiculous. The Biden administration oversaw the strongest economy in the world, the highest stock market, the lowest unemployment rate in half a century, and the most jobs added ever, all while adding a staggering 800,000 manufacturing jobs, which is to say nothing, by the way, of those clean energy manufacturing jobs that I was just referencing. And yet, the Trump White House has the audacity to criticize them while they've tanked the stock market, while they've added anemic jobs numbers, while they've likely presided over an economic contraction, while they've isolated us on the world stage. At some point, Americans will learn from history that every time a Republican leaves office, we are consumed by a recession. George H.W. Bush landed us in one. Bill Clinton had to clean up his mess. George W. Bush landed us in one. Barack Obama had to clean up his mess. Trump landed us in one during his first term. Biden had to clean up his mess. And lo and behold, here we are yet again, watching a Republican president destroy a thriving economy that he inherited, all for absolutely no reason. Had the guy quite literally done nothing, we would be in better shape than we are right now. But instead, we got Trump, who wanted to beat his chest and make the whole world fear him. And well, now the world is running into the arms of China, and we're left isolated. Because art of the deal, or something. So if the appearance today from Howard Lutnik has shown us anything, if Trump's daily appearances have shown us anything, if this tariff debacle has shown us anything, it's that this White House has no clue what it's doing. And it's all but certain to make things a hell of a lot worse before they get any better. Before you go, first, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we're now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they're willing to cater to this White House. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a great way for me to be able to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's completely free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support my work. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.